Hello and welcome to another Facebook Live. It's Wednesday, it's 8 p.m. here in Spain, and that means it's time for some English. My name's Craig. I'm from mencioningles.com, where you can study English for free. And also we have a podcast that's every week on Sunday, and you can find that at inglespodcast.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And with me, I'm delighted to say hi to my good friend Monica. Hi, Monica.
Hi,
How are
I
you?
am Monica from Blog del Inglés, where you can also find free material for learning English, but in Spanish. So it's if you have trouble understanding, you can read many of these Facebook Lives in Spanish. Later, I'll translate. I put all the examples in Spanish, so you can find them there.
At blogdelingles.com.
Yes. Okay,
And
so
let's start with an apology because last week there was no Facebook Live. That was my fault. I was not feeling well, so I apologize. I hope that you didn't miss us too much, but we're back this week and we have an interesting subject this week. What are we talking about this week, Monica?
jobs and professions. It's very useful because, well, not only to talk about jobs, because this is only for A2 level now. We're going to talk about many expressions that you can use at the workplace. And we're going to have a conversation related with vocabulary that can be very useful for our audience, I think.
Yeah,
So,
let's hope so.
Fabiana, Gemma, thank
Hi,
you very
Gemma.
much.
Hi,
Juan
Fabiana.
Lu,
Juan
hi.
Lu's watching us on YouTube. We're also streaming live to YouTube at the moment. So
Yes.
if you are a YouTube viewer, you're very welcome. Of course, also on Facebook. And you may be watching this after the fact. If you are, thank you very much for joining us. And we hope you find this useful today.
Yeah.
So shall we begin?
Yes.
With jobs
Yes.
and professions. Now, when you want to ask somebody what their job is in English, you may know this, but the easiest thing to say is, what do you do? Or what do you do for a living? It's fine to use the shortened version and just say, what do you do? Oh, I'm a teacher. Oh, I'm a nurse. What do you do? So what do you do or what do you do for a living is a good way to ask somebody about their job.
Yeah, but many times when I ask this question, people say, I'm studying English, or I am I am in a class now. And I said, no, that's not what you're doing. What are you doing is different from what do you do. Okay? Pay attention there because many people confuse these two expressions. They are different. What do you do means what is your job, like Craig said, and not what are you doing.
Yes, that's a good point. Many people confuse that. So what are you doing is now present continuous, and what do you do is usually for your job. Good point. Yep. Okay.
So we have here, this is also very confusing. Job, work, and career. Okay, I start with job. Job is really the profession, no? And the position that you have in a company. Like my job as an accountant, my job as a teacher, or my job as a doctor. Work is also can be sometimes used as job, but it's mostly used as a verb. Like, for example, I work here in this office. Okay, I have too much work. Or sometimes it's specific. I have some work to do. But in this case, it's similar to job because there's an expression is you did a good job, for example, and then there's where it's confusing job and work. And then career. Be careful with this because career is in English only for job career, only when you're talking about your work, not about your studies. If you refer to your studies, you say degree or studies. For example, I have a degree in law. In my professional career, I worked as a lawyer, okay? But I did a career at the university. No, no, no. That is career is only for the workplace. So maybe, Craig, you want to add something about the difference between the three
Just
words?
one thing.
Yeah,
As Monica said, work is usually an uncountable noun. So
yeah.
if you have a lot of work, maybe you have 3 jobs because you can count jobs. Jobs are countable. I have 3 jobs. I have a lot of work. So work is usually an uncountable noun. However, it can be countable when you speak about a work of art, which in Spanish is an obra de arte. So you can say that Picasso created many wonderful works of art. So when it's speaking about art, yes, it can be countable. But when we're speaking about trabajo or jobs, things you do for money, then it's an uncountable noun, or as Monica said, a verb.
And one tip for uncountable nouns, because it's very confusing for people and they don't know sometimes to say if to say many or much. And so I always say, look, one trick is just to say a lot. A
Yeah.
lot is it's good for it. Uncountable and countable. So you're not going to make a mistake. So I have a lot of work to do. If you don't know if you should say many or much, you just say, I have a lot of work to do. That's it. Perfect sentence.
Good
So
point. A lot of work. When Monica said it, the of almost disappears. You don't really hear it because it's weak. A lot of
yeah.
work, a lot of work, a lot of jobs. Perfect. Next, we have to earn a salary or to earn a wage. Now, you probably know that to earn is a verb that collocates or goes together with money. You earn money when you work. You can earn a salary and you can earn a wage, and they are very similar, but there is a small difference. When you have permanent official work and you're paid by bank transfer, usually every month, you call it a salary. So we speak about a monthly salary or a yearly salary. When you have a more informal job, like maybe in construction or working in a bar or as a waiter or waitress in a restaurant, perhaps, sometimes you get paid in cash or you get paid weekly or maybe every day. That's a wage. So wage is more informal and it's very often weekly or daily, and salary is more permanent and it's paid on a monthly basis. And in the UK, we often speak about yearly wages. Here in Spain, we speak about a monthly salary very often when you go for a job, when you go for an interview. But in the UK, the amount of money you earn will be a yearly salary, usually in a job advertisement.
You
Do you want to
know,
add
I
anything,
was
Monica?
yeah, the word wage, I didn't know, but it comes from French. And
Ah, I didn't know. Okay.
yeah, and it's this word it's basically it means pay by hour, no? Pay by hour is the difference. And I think in Spanish could be translated as jornal. Like
Okay.
jornal means from one day only, yeah.
Mhm.
So probably that's the origin of that. And
Yep.
salary comes, it's a different origin. I think it comes from salt, because
Yes, yeah, that makes sense because
salt.
people used to pay in
We
salt,
wish,
didn't they,
wish,
years ago?
yes, that's why. So I wanted to say hi to more people that joined, like
Uh-huh.
Rocio Conde, Maria,
Katia. Hi, Katia.
Jacqueline, Lely, Heide,
Heidi
Heidi.
Heidi from Buenos Aires.
Okay,
Thank you,
so
everyone, for joining us.
thank you. So,
Okay, to
uh,
apply.
to apply for a job, Apply is a word that is very often used with these nouns for a job, for a post, or for a position. Difference between post and position: post is for a civil servant, an officer, somebody who works for the administration, and position is in a private company. Okay, so you apply for a job, a post, and a position. I wanted to say the other day I was in a class teaching this apply for, and then I just said to this, there were two students in the class, and I said to one of them, why don't you ask Pepe, when was the last time, or using the word apply? And then he said, when was the last time you applied for a job? And then he answered, I'm an IT professional. I haven't applied for a job. They offer the jobs to me. And I thought, oh my God, this is the only profession where they offer them jobs all the time. This is such a high demand of these IT professionals that they can decide where to work, when to work. So they don't have to apply for a job, which almost ordinary people like us have to do it. We have to apply for something, and then maybe somebody answers. But
I've put a word in the chat, a headhunter, which is somebody who looks for IT professionals, for example, who are really talented, and then they take them from one company and offer them more money, a higher salary, to work for another company. So they hunt, they hunt really talented people, and they take them from one company to another. Headhunters.
And also I wanted to say one thing, and LinkedIn, because everybody in Spanish says LinkedIn. And and then at one time I heard that and I said, what is that social network? I don't know it. And then I started realizing LinkedIn. That's LinkedIn. This is where the headhunters go, and they try to get these IT professionals. And they told me I get every week like 30 offers or 20 offers. And I was like, what?
Wow.
So they don't need to apply for a job because the headhunters come for them to look for them.
I wonder, are there any IT workers in the chat? Any IT professionals here watching live at the moment? If you are, let us know. Hi, Christine. Christine's joined us, and Aldo is here. Hello, Aldo. One more thing to add to what Monica said. Obviously, apply is a verb, to apply for something. That preposition really sticks to apply. It's a dependent preposition. So learn those two words together, to apply for something. And the noun is application. So you have an application form to submit an application for a job, for example. Shall we move on?
Yes.
When you apply for a job, you often are asked to submit or send your CV, which stands for curriculum vitae. And in Spanish, Monica, I think you say curriculum, don't you? Curriculum. Yeah. So we say in British English, CV. Can you send your CV? But in America, in the US, in American English, they say résumé, which comes from the French. So they mean the same thing, just different words in different American English and British English. Your CV in British English and your resume in American English. I don't remember the last time I needed to send my CV to someone. It's been a long time.
Today I was talking about these two words, and I said, somebody started with resume, but he didn't say resume. He said resume.
Resume.
And then I said,
different word.
He said, and I said, wait. I said, just forget about resume. Just say CV, because what we speak is European English. So it doesn't really matter the American English or the British. Just it's a combination of both. So you pick CV, and it's going to be much easier for you, because resume means to start again.
To start again, yeah. Yes, resume watching or resume
not resume,
something.
Okay, resume and resume. There's Juan Lu Anaya says, every week I receive many offers on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Software architect. Yes, software architect is very demanded.
Yeah, that's a very good profession, Juanlu.
Yeah, the profile. That profile is very good. Excellent. Yeah. So resume, I remember, Craig, correct me if I'm mistaken, has an accent on top of the E, the two E's. Oh no.
Resume. Yes, there's accent. I couldn't do it in the.
Yeah, because you don't have the keyboard
here, but I don't have the keyboard for that. Yeah. But yeah, there are accents because it's French.
Yeah, because that's the stress. That's why it's called resume, because it's too stressed.
That's right.
Okay, so to commute. Well, that's for you, no? Well, no, that's for me.
That's for you.
Okay, commute. I like this word a lot because and also I think it's very British. It's more than because people in London, it's very expensive to live. So when people work in the city, they usually live in the outskirts of the city. So the outskirts, the surrounding of the city, and they commute every day. So they take the train, they take the car, they or public transport or private transport, and they go to work and they come back. And that action to go and come back is to commute. Okay. In Spanish, we don't really have a word for this. And I'm thinking maybe somebody in the audience knows better than me, but there's not really a word for that kind of activity, no? And I don't know why, but I think it originated in big cities, this word, because this is typical for big cities. And it's basically probably because the rent is too high in the big cities and people, and also there's another reason. If you want to live, for example, in a detached house with more space and landscape, you cannot live inside the city. So you have to buy something outside the city or rent somebody outside. So that's why you need to commute. And I wanted to ask Craig, have you ever commuted when you were working every day to somewhere?
When I lived in London and I first started working, I worked in an insurance office and I commuted, but it was a short commute, maybe 15, 20 minutes on the bus. So I took the bus into work, but I've never worked in central London. I lived in the suburbs for many years, but I never worked in the city centre. So really commuting is living in the suburbs, living outside the city and commuting in to work in the center. So I've never really done it. Have you? Have you commuted?
Not really. I was always in a traffic jam, but you couldn't consider where I lived in Madrid. There was the outskirts of the suburbs. No, it wasn't the suburbs. It was just a neighborhood.
Okay.
And no, because but I was always in a traffic jam. Oh, this was terrible.
Until the traffic's bad in Madrid.
Yeah, and until I started remote working. When I started remote working, that problem disappeared. But
so now you commute now from your kitchen to your office, right?
Exactly. But I prefer this than to be stuck in a traffic jam for an hour. Well, you can, if you commute on public transport, it's not so bad as long as it's not packed. You know, you go inside and you take a book or you do something in between. You learn something, no?
Listen to podcasts. Yeah,
listen to podcasts.
By the way, commute is obviously a verb. The person who commutes is a commuter. Just add R on the end, ER. So commuter is the person who commutes for work.
Nobody has given me a translation into Spanish of this word.
No, I don't think there is a word.
That's why I said it. I said it that we don't have a word like that for that, and I don't know the reason because it's also possible here to have that problem. Well, I don't know. I commute every morning to study. Well, okay. Gemma says I commute every morning to study.
Okay, moving on. So if you have a job that pays a lot of money, you can say it's a well-paid job. So if you have a well-paid job, you earn a lot of money. You may know that, but maybe it's not so common. The opposite. If you don't earn a lot of money, it's not bad paid, it's badly paid. You need the adverb. So badly paid. What jobs are badly paid? Maybe if you work in a supermarket, it could be badly paid, or if you're cleaning houses, it could be badly paid, or teaching English could be badly paid,
Yeah,
depending where you
there are
teach.
many jobs that are badly paid or poorly paid.
And yeah, poorly paid is very similar, but I think it's when you want to be a little more polite. So yeah, poorly is maybe not so strong, no tan fuerte. So yeah, it's poorly paid job. The salary is not very high. So it's poorly
Diana
paid.
says that to commute can be movilizar, but no, this was Diana Mata.
Yeah, maybe.
I never heard that word in Spanish like that. As a mobile, yes,
Let's see what it says in word
but
reference.
maybe in South America it's possible to say that.
In word reference says viajar diariamente al trabajo.
Yeah,
Desplazarse al trabajo.
Well, desplazarse, viajar diariamente, yeah, but that's not one word. That's a whole sentence. There's 3 words, 4 words to say one word. This is not a translation. It's an explanation. Yes.
And Nora's got a question. She'd like to participate. Yeah, Nora, sometimes we do invite people in. We're not going to do that today. But maybe next year, if enough people are interested in chatting with us, then we could maybe change the format next year and have more of a chat with you speaking. We've tried many times to bring people in to chat with us, and maybe some people are a bit shy to speak. I know Gemma's come in and said hi a couple of times, and some people do, but very often people prefer to just listen. But if enough people want to come in and chat with us, then from next year, then that's definitely something we could think about doing. Yeah.
You have a question there, Johnny. How can I answer when someone asks?
What do you mean deserve salary?
Deserve
Jenny?
salary.
What do you mean by deserve?
Merecido. To deserve.
To deserve?
No, is the salary that you want. No?
Speaking about money, especially in a job interview, is a very, very difficult thing to do. Never ask about money until the end of the interview. Always leave it until last. And if nothing is said, you could say something like, how much does the position offer? That's not directly using the word money, but it's understood. How much are you paying me? How much does the position offer? Or what are the conditions of the employment would be also money as well. So try to find words that don't directly speak about money in English. That will be more polite and more acceptable. But again, wait until the last moment. If the employer, if the interviewer doesn't speak about money, then that's the question you could ask.
But I think she's looking for like some kind of answer in English, like for example, I would like to earn in the range of 6 figures. When you say some,
aspiración, what does that mean?
The salary you want. That's basically is that. I would like to earn. You could say, Johnny. I think I would say something like, "Yeah, I would like to earn the range of my salary is around." I don't know, a yearly salary of 40,000 euros or whatever. I don't know, whatever the range of money is that. It's just a straight answer. No, if they're asking you, how much do you want to earn? I said, okay, according to what I was more or less as a reference, what I was earning in my past job, and what I would like to earn now is more or less in the range of 40,000 or 45,000 or 20,000, whatever.
Maybe my target salary or my ideal salary. My ideal salary.
Well, yes, would be.
And
she's asking. I thought she was asking for the sentences. The maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought in English. How can you express that idea in English? Which also I can say that it's an opportunity to mention that Craig has a material and Mansión del Inglés that is very useful for you. It's about interviews and that you can download, and I think it's a probably very good price for the amount of information you can get. So
Okay, or maybe I'll share that at the end of the
okay,
at the end of the
yeah,
session.
but
We'll
this is
share that.
the opportunity, because they're talking about sentences. So and Honey says, perfect, thanks, teachers. You're welcome.
Okay.
And yes, to be made redundant. This happened to me, so I know
Me
it very
too.
well.
Me too.
That just happened to you too. Okay.
This year.
So I'm going to say to be made redundant in Spanish from Spain. The easiest way to understand this is aplicar un ERE. So when the company has financial problems, they usually have to make, at least in Spain, they have to make an agreement with the administration, and they are able to say to you, look, we cannot continue anymore because we have financial problems. So we are going to make redundant certain people, maybe not everybody. Also, maybe the ones that are older or the ones that are more expensive are made redundant. So I was made redundant. I was made redundant 20 years ago as a lawyer, and then I started teaching English. So that changed my professional career.
Your
you
career.
See?
We
The
had career
professional
before.
career. So I was made redundant in 2020, in the year 2000, more or less. Year 2000, yes, it was the year 2000.
20
I
years
was made redundant. Redundant, if you think of the term, redundant is like redundante, like it's a leftover. Like I was made redundant. We don't want you anymore. Out of this company. Then you have fired, to be fired. For me, this was the term that I always knew since I started to learn English, to be fired. Ser
like a
despedido.
gun. Yeah.
Okay, this is an American term. And it comes from, I think I read one time an article about this, and it comes from, because in the Middle Ages, or before the Middle Ages even, there were invasions of tribes and they burned the houses of people. So they set fire on all the houses and they lost everything. So it comes from the word fire because you really get burned. If somebody fires you, you lose your money, you lose your food, your way of surviving. And then I came to Europe, and then I found that the British people said to be sacked or to get the sack. And I thought, what is that? It's like a saco. It's like to be sacked and to get the sack is like to be fired. But
do you know where that one comes from, Monica?
I have no idea.
That
You can tell me.
I don't know. No idea.
Well,
I don't know.
I thought you knew.
Maybe because you put your things in a sack and you carry the sack home.
Yes,
I
that's
don't
what
know.
I thought. To get the sack, that could be.
I don't know.
Because when you are fired, you have to pick up everything from your table.
But obviously, to be made redundant is a lot more polite. It's a more formal expression. Whereas to be fired or to be sacked, it's a stronger way to say the same thing.
But there's legal reason for this. Because because if you're fired, it's usually because you did something that was wrong.
Correct. Yeah, you're late for work, you're a bad worker, you stole from the company.
Late,
yeah.
Poor job, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you're fired or sacked is the same. But when you're made redundant, it's not your fault. It's just the activity, the industry is not okay. There are other reasons that have nothing to do with you. So that's the difference. That's why it's more polite to say I was made redundant.
Mm-hmm.
In my case, that was the reason, because the company couldn't exist anymore. So most of the people were made redundant. I wasn't fired, no?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so that's it.
However, if you decide to leave the job and it's your decision, you resign. You resign from your post, from your job, from your position. That's the verb. And the noun is resignation. Resignation. And the collocation is to hand in your resignation. So there's a phrasal verb. To hand something in is to present something, presentar. And the expression to hand in your resignation is where you formally write a letter and you resign from your job.
I wanted to say that there's a phrasal verb for this, and it's to step down, no? Or maybe
It's
step
not
down is more for.
exactly the same. Recently,
Mm,
Jack Dorsey stepped
step
down
down.
from Twitter. He was the CEO, the chief executive officer of Twitter. So you wouldn't say that he did resign, kind of. He resigned from the, but it's such a high position that it's more common to say he stepped down, like you step down a ladder. So someone who's very important, who's very high in the company, the it's more normal to use the expression
See,
to
step
step
down.
down. Yeah.
But it's also for politicians.
As
You hear
Christine
it a lot,
says,
yeah,
yeah.
like Christine says, in the government, when you talk about the president or the ministers or some kind of higher rank officials, then you say they stepped down or he stepped down. Yeah? So it's true to step down when you're a politician, and to
I
resign is
can't
the Latin.
I can't copy
Phrasing.
that. I can't copy that link, Juan Luis. I don't know what it's for. I assume it's something to do with work and expressions and phrases,
No, phrases of get the sack or the.
possibly, but I can't
Possibly.
copy that to see it. So I don't know exactly what that is.
No, we have to check later. See.
So there's two ways you can not work for a company. You can be made redundant, you can be fired or sacked, and you can resign when you decide to leave. But when you're getting older, Monica, there's something else you can do to leave your job,
You
isn't there?
retired. The verb is retired. Okay, there's the noun retirement, and you get a pension, and you're a pensioner, jubilado, a pensioner. So, to what is the age for what is the retirement age in the UK? Do you know?
Too high. It's
It's
I,
getting higher and higher.
it's getting it's catch
Yeah,
22, isn't it? You every time you think you're going to get there, it goes up 5 more years.
yeah.
I think it's is it 67? I don't know, actually. Let me
You
check.
don't know, really? This morning I read a headline of a guy who was saying that we're going to, in the future, we're going to continue working until we're 90. And I thought, you never get retired. Yeah.
Okay, so I have it here. Mr. Google is telling me from December 2018, the state pension age for both men and women will increase to 66 by October 2020. So 66 years old is the
In
retirement
Spain
age
is
for
starting
men and women.
66, and in Spain I think is going to be it's gradually getting higher, and it's 67. At
67.
least for people my age is 67.
But then we're living
So
longer, so it's fair, isn't it? If we're living longer and
I
we're
don't know.
healthier, so you know.
I don't know if it is fair. I don't think they do it because it's fair. I think they do it because they have no money.
Aldo is saying is resign
This is
to
a
quit.
very interesting question.
Good question, Aldo. Yeah, to
Yeah.
quit is more American English. So an American English speaker will say, "I quit my job." Where
I think it's more
a British
informal
English,
also.
it's informal, yeah.
Yeah.
But there are many other things you can quit. I mean, you can
Mm.
quit a weight loss program, or you can
Mm.
quit watching so much television, which just means to stop doing something. But yeah,
Smoking.
it can be used as a similar word to resign or leave your job, to quit your job in
But
American
I would
English.
also recommend that word because It's always the same. Quit, quit, quit. So you don't make mistakes with the past tense or the past participle. So
Oh, it's irregular. Yeah, it's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's irregular, but it's always the same. So if you have trouble pronouncing the past tense, just use quit. It's easier.
Yeah, because resign, resignation, resigned.
Resigned.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult. So you
I
just
often
say
quit.
quit.
Yesterday I quit and I have quit. It's always the
Yes,
same.
it's exactly the same. So continuing with retirement, I don't have anything else to say.
Me neither.
Retirement and to retire, and a pensioner, jubilado is a pensioner, and you get a pension when you retire. You get a pension, so it's the payment that you get. It's the same as in Spanish. There's no
Yeah.
difference.
So
Okay.
let's move on. Next word. So the employer is the person who gives you the job, who pays your salary, and the employee is the person who gets or receives the salary, the worker. Now be careful of the stress. Employer, 3 syllables, the stress is in the middle, employer. And employee, or let's go this way, employee has the stress on the final syllable, the 3rd syllable. And also there's changing stress in the next 2 words. Interviewer, stress the 1st syllable, interviewer, and interviewee. So the "e" at the end is stressed, interviewee. The interviewer asks the questions in a job interview, and the interviewee answers the questions. That's the person who wants the job. That's the applicant who is applying for the job. That's the interviewee.
Experience and qualifications. Experience is, well, this is usually words you're going to use on your CV. Okay. So qualifications, experience is the same in Spanish, so it's very easy to explain. And qualifications is the education, what kind of skills do you have, or what kind of
Certificates,
certificate, no? That certificates that
diplomas.
accredit the qualifications that you have. So if you say that you're a software engineer, what are your qualifications? Where did you get that title of software engineer? Normally from a university, but there are sometimes it's just from experience. So it's very easy. These 2 words are very similar in Spanish. I don't think there's any problem with them. No?
Nope. If you have any questions, put them in the
Yeah,
chat and we'll answer them for you.
yeah.
Nora is saying quit smoking. Yeah, again, that's very common in American English. I would say, as a British English speaker, stop smoking.
Stop
So
smoking.
stop smoking, quit smoking. There's no difference, really. It's just one is more used in American English and one is more used in British English. Next, we have promotion and prospects, and they often go together, especially in a job interview. You could say, what are my prospects for promotion? Promotion is the noun, the verb is to promote. So obviously you want to go up in a company or in your job. So it's good to get on the promotion ladder. Ladder is escalera. So the promotion ladder, you go up and you want good prospects to be able to advance in your job and be promoted. That's the passive. You are promoted by your boss or your bosses, and it's good to have good job prospects at any position that you accept.
But prospects has a second meaning. And prospects is somebody that could be a client for you. That's more in marketing. So I have some prospects, meaning I have some leads. I have some people that might be my client or my customer. So do not confuse those two terms. And then talking about promotion, there's an expression to go up the corporate ladder. It probably is more American than British. Corporate ladder. Yeah, subir la escalera de la empresa or something like that. So you go up the corporate ladder. And some people are more ambitious than other people, and they try to go up the corporate ladder. using some tricks. and maybe they're successful because they know they have soft skills, they know how to communicate better, and that can make the difference. No?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of British English and American English, we've got these words for you: to get a rise and to raise somebody's salary. Now, let's look at those two words as verbs first of all. To rise, R-I-S-E, and to raise. Rise is intransible, which means intransitive, sorry. Rise is intransitive, which means it does not take an object. We say the sun rises in the morning. You can't say rise the sun. The sun just rises. So we say that verb is intransitive. However, raise does have an object. You can raise the table. You can raise someone's salary, which means put it up, put it higher. But when we speak about salary in particular and jobs and money in British English, it's very common to say a rise in salary. I would like a rise in salary. I would like more money. Whereas in American English, you would just use the noun raise, and it's not necessary to use the word salary. So again, in American English, I would like a raise, and in British English, I would like a rise in salary. Just remember that in salary if you're a British English speaker or learner.
I want to just mention one, just give some tip for this, to remember the difference between these two words, because they're very confusing.
They are.
And so what I do is I tell the students to remember always the sun rises. Always remember rise with the sun, because you can visualize that. It's an idea that you can visualize. So the sun doesn't need anybody, doesn't need any help to rise. Instead, raise, you need the help of something external. For example, I raise my hand, so I need my brain first to think about this, and then I raise my hand. So that is a good tip to remember the difference. One is the sun that doesn't need any help, but everything else that you move, if it needs the help of someone, then is raise. And then pronunciation, there's a slight difference with the sound of the S is, so rise and raise, it vibrates, this, which is a sound that we don't have in Spanish. So you're tempted to say rise and not rise.
Also, the vowel sound is different. Rise
Yeah.
has the I sound, like my or
Yeah.
high, rise. And raise is A, like day or say. So the vowel sound's also different.
So one more time, get a rise is British. And to get a raise or ask for a raise.
Get a rise in salary.
In salary? Well, a rise in salary, a raise salary is American. The second one is American, English.
And Juan Lu's saying an applicant is a person who applies for a job. Yes, a job applicant is a person who applies for the job. So apply is the verb, applicant is the noun, the person. Exactly. This is for you.
Part-time, full-time. I don't know if I'm going to have enough time to do all this because
I don't know. Are you going to have enough time?
Okay, so part-time is very easy because this is the job, a part-time job. Have you ever done a part-time job?
Oh, I have done part-time jobs. Yeah. I worked as a part-time teacher that I just got made redundant from. Yeah, I worked as a part-time teacher for 24 years, part-time.
Okay, and full-time is the opposite. This is very easy to understand because in Spanish it's the same. Okay. Part-time es tiempo parcial, full-time es tiempo completo. Overtime, tiempo, horas extras. horas extras, overtime. You work overtime when, for example, you're supposed to finish at six, and it's 7 o'clock and you're still in the office. And usually it's not paid. So this is overtime.
Yeah, it's a very, very strange thing in Spain, isn't it? Overtime. It's usually
it happens
not
quite often.
in the contract. I'm sure if Juan Lu, as a software developer, gets paid overtime.
Yeah, but I think it's also changing, at least for IT professionals.
Yeah.
Because I'm working with I'm teaching lots of IT professionals, and they just stop at 6 o'clock and that's it. This is also changing because this is other generation, not our generation. So flexi time, that is very good. Flexi time is when you agree with the company that you can start working within a period of time, like you instead of coming or starting at 8 o'clock, you can only at 8 o'clock. You can either do it at 7 or at 9 or at 10. So there's flexibility at the starting time and the finishing time of the day, of the working day. So if normally you're going to do the exact amount of hours. So and in Spanish is also the same. It's horario flexible. That means that you can choose when to start and when to finish within a period of time. Of course, you're not going to start working at 1 o'clock. No, between 7 and 9 or 10, you can start, and you finish between 5 and 7:30, for example. Shift is typically for hospitals, for example, night shift, morning shift. There are certain jobs that you can only do with shifts because you need a 24/7 working schedule. Like everybody has to be, the company has to have someone always at the company doing something, no? And that's why we have the word shifts, which means shifts has other meanings. Huh? Shifts has
What
the meaning of,
what kind of professions work shifts? Policemen,
for
nurses,
example,
doctors,
nurses, doctors,
firemen,
firemen,
firefighters,
the police also, because
flight attendants,
flight attendants.
shift work.
What other ones? There are many, printer, and I don't know if they print anything anymore because
No, I don't
everything
think
is
so.
digital. Printers, that printers, they have to work also 24/7 because they cannot stop the machines. There are many jobs that they need shifts. And then hours, well, this is very easy, no? To work per hour. If you just work few hours and
But the reason I included it here is because very often when you speak to a business or especially a shop, you would say, "What are your hours?" Or even someone who does shift work, "What are your hours?" That means, what hours do you work? That's not a commonly known question for learners of English. What are your hours of business? What are your hours? Which means, when do you open and when do you close? What are your hours? Oh, we're open from 9 to 5, for example.
Also opening time. I heard that.
Yep. Also.
Yeah, so opening times between 9 and 6, for example.
Nora's speaking about industry. I think you mean people who work on the
In factories.
in factories, on the production line. On the production line, they work shifts, don't they? Sometimes. Juan Lu saying that luckily he doesn't do overtime. You're very lucky.
No,
Yeah.
you see, this is a different generation.
And Christine wants to know: do English speakers use the expression "raise hell"? It's not common. I wouldn't say it. It's more common in American English, Christine. Hellraiser, someone who raises hell.
Yeah,
que hace un lío, someone who's shouting and raising hell.
When I saw the expression, I thought of like rock and roll, like when they finish the show and they start throwing the guitars or making lots of noise, something like that. Raise hell.
Raise hell, a hellraiser. Another question from Anna. What does to have someone wrapped around your finger mean? That means that they will do everything that you want them to do. If somebody's wrapped around your finger, you can tell them to go and put their head in the oven, in the gas oven, and they will do it. Say jump off a bridge and they will do it. They will do absolutely anything for you if they're wrapped around your finger. Okay, I think that's all the vocabulary we wanted to share with you.
Yes.
But just for the last 10 minutes or so, we've got one or two discussion points. Let's see if you can think of some jobs and professions. Now, 3 jobs that used to exist in the past but do not exist anymore. Can you think of any? 3 jobs, at least, maybe more, that we don't need anymore because we
But
live in a
then you don't
modern
need to learn the
world.
word in English because it doesn't exist anymore.
Maybe.
I can tell you one.
What? Tell us one, Monica.
News agent, a news stand.
No, there are newsstands, people selling newspapers still. Kioscos. Yeah.
In Madrid? No.
In Valencia, we have kioscos that sell newspapers.
Very few. They almost all disappear.
Really?
In Madrid? Really? Honestly, you cannot find them. Only in neighborhoods where there are a lot of old people. And now you can find, for example, the newspapers in the gas station or something like that. You can in the petrol station you can find newspapers and magazines, but newsstands in Madrid almost impossible. Very few neighborhoods.
So you don't often see people reading
No, they disappeared.
newspapers?
I tell you, they disappeared.
Interesting.
This is not anymore a profession, and the people that still work there, they're old. They're about to retire if they still work there because they were made redundant by internet.
Yeah, you still see people reading newspapers in Valencia. Again, yeah, mainly
Very
older
few.
people,
Older
pensioners,
people.
but
Yeah.
there are people still reading newspapers. What about a lamplighter?
A lamplighter.
Years and years ago in the street, they had gas lamps, and
But
someone
that's very
from the
old. That's
council used to
like at the
light the
beginning of the
lamp,
20th century.
but it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, it is true, but I don't. Did you ever see a gas lighter?
No, I'm not so old.
This is why I thought. I don't think
but it's a profession that doesn't exist. We have some more ideas from our lovely audience. Blacksmith.
Oh yeah, a blacksmith.
Because horses. Yeah, we don't use horses. Chimney sweep. Very good, Francisca.
And how do you clean? How do you clean the chimney?
Chimneys. Well, you have to clean it, I think, yourself. But I don't think chimney sweeps exist as a profession. It used to years ago.
Well, perhaps there are some people that do those jobs.
Newspaper delivery, for sure. Yeah.
This is what I said.
Milk. Do you remember when milk was delivered to your house?
I remember milk. I was a little kid.
The milkman.
I remember.
The milkman's disappeared.
Yes.
Women doing laundry by rivers. Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore.
Laundry, but it's not a profession. So another question?
Francesca, delivery of milk. Yeah. Okay, another question. 3 jobs that have low salaries but high prestige.
Teacher.
That's 1. 2 more. Nurse.
Nurse is 2. And to a certain extent, doctors in Spain. In Spain, doctors are not badly paid. And they have
by
lots
the
of
Social
prestige.
Security, they're badly paid, aren't they? But many of them have private practices as well.
Most doctors in Spain, they combine private and Social Security because they cannot survive with the Social Security. No?
Yeah. Nora, I think Nora's answering the last question still. A shoe
Shoe repair.
repairer, which has a
No, but
name.
when I went to the shoe repair some month ago.
Shoe repairer in English is a cobbler. That's the profession.
Yes.
Cobbler, a cobbler.
Or telegrafista.
Yes, telegrafista, telegraph sender.
That's completely disappeared. That is true.
Yeah. Any more low salary but high prestige? Can't think of any. Okay, let's go to the next one. Jobs that require absolutely no intelligence.
Many. Absolutely no intelligence.
Someone said before, I'll write it in the chat, a production line worker, someone who works on a production line
worker. Yeah. Well, if you're doing something
mechanical, like a robot. Yeah.
Like a robot just repeating the same. Well, but no intelligence whatsoever? Not really, because if something goes wrong, you should also know how to deal with that. So you need some kind of intelligence.
What about a cleaner?
Yeah, also they need to think about where they start, the time they're going to use doing that. They need to. In fact, if you're not very intelligent, you clean worse because yes, it's true. Because you don't organize yourself, and then you don't use the right product.
Yeah. Football player.
Football player.
A footballer.
But I think a footballer, I think in any job you need some kind of intelligence.
Yeah.
Politician? We always think about academic intelligence. When we say intelligence, we're always thinking about academic intelligence, but there are many kinds of intelligences.
It's true.
So there can be other way of approaching that, no?
I think we have time for one more before we finish. 3 jobs that will be most needed in the future.
Data analyst. That's one. Engineer data analyst, because it's all about data. Or data. You can say data if you're more sophisticated.
I think that's a more American English, data. And data is more British English.
Yeah? No, I think it's just the right pronunciation in Latin. Well, I heard both. Data and data.
Programmer, says Anna.
Well, computer programmer is already needed. Yeah, programmer. Developer. Data analyst. What else? Doctor, nurses.
If we get sicker.
Yeah, doctor and nurses, if we get more different variants, COVID variants, we need many more. Needed in the future. I don't know. What other jobs? There are many new jobs that are created also that we don't even know the names of. Librarian. Maria says librarian. No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
She's answering the previous question. The
one that's disappearing.
Librarian is probably a job that is I don't know, because it's not called librarian anymore. It has a different name, because you don't only manage books.
It's called Google.
You manage information, resources. So it has another. Spanish, I think, is called documentalista or something like that. So it's not only books.
Emma agrees with you. She says she's on the same page as Monica. Emma, the same page as Monica. And Maria del Carmen says a traffic policeman. I think that's the one that requires no intelligence, perhaps. Who knows?
But I don't agree with that, because I think that any job needs a little bit of intelligence. Otherwise, you turn to.
I found it. The man or woman who wears a sandwich board to advertise a business in the street and just stands there in the street advertising.
That could be.
Advertising something. That could be it. Anyway,
Yeah.
we have to stop. Let's quickly go back and just very,
Okay.
very quickly remind you of the vocabulary we've looked at today. We started with what do you do? What do you do? Not what are you doing, but what do you do is a good way to ask somebody about their job or profession.
Then we saw job, work, and career. Remember, job is the kind of profession that you do. Work is the verb, and career is only professional career. It's not for the university. Okay.
You earn a salary or earn a wage. Salary is more formal and is usually a transfer to your bank monthly and spoken about in yearly terms, whereas wage is more informal and it's usually daily or weekly.
To apply for is a collocation, it's very strong collocation with a job, a post, which is for a civil servant, and a position, which is in a private company.
CV or resume in American English is your curriculum in Spanish. It's where you list your experience, qualification, and the history of your working life. So CV is British English.
To commute is to when you live outside the city, you come every day on public transport or in your own car to work in the city, and you come back to then you commute back when you go back home.
A well-paid job has a high salary, and a badly or a poorly paid job has a low salary.
To be made redundant, this is more polite, but it's also used when the company is experiencing a bad financial situation and they have to get rid of some people, so they are made redundant. Fire is the American term for kicking out somebody from a company because he or she did something wrong. And sacked, to be sacked or to get this sack, is the British term for the same thing. Okay.
However, if you decide to leave your job, you resign. That's the verb, or you hand in your resignation.
When you finish your working life, you retired, and retirement is the noun, and you get a pension, and the person that gets the pension is called a pensioner.
Employer is the person who pays your salary, and employee is the person who works and receives the salary. The interviewer asks the questions and offers you the job, and the interviewee is the person who's asking or applying for the job.
So on a CV, you're going to put your experience and your qualifications. Experience is what you have done, like in Spanish, and qualifications is your titles or certificate that accredit what kind of studies you did.
If you are promoted, you go up the career ladder. So it's good to ask for a job that has good promotion prospects or good prospects of promotion.
To get a rise is in British English for aumento de sueldo, and to rise the salary, to rise someone the salary is American English for the same thing.
Part-time is medio jornada. It's when you work only in the morning or only in the afternoon or only in the evening. And full-time is you're working all of the day. Overtime is when you get paid for working more than the hours in your contract. And flexi time is where you can start and finish your work at different times. It's more flexible. Shifts when you work like a policeman or a nurse or a firefighter. Maybe you work a night shift only at night. Maybe you work a weekend shift. And hours, business hours, is when the business is open. So the question, what are your hours? When are you open? When are you doing business?
Okay, that's it.
And that's it.
Okay,
Fantastic.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Maria del Carmen, politicians. Yeah, we said that before. That was the one that requires no intelligence, maybe. Possibly. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. It's been a lot of fun. And before we go, we'll just remind you where we're from and what we do. So, Monica.
So I'm from Blog del Inglés, where you can find lots of free resources to learn English and Spanish. And also we offer online lessons, Skype lessons with native teachers. We have an academy, online academy. If you are interested, just check our page and Blog del Inglés. You're going to find some links. Okay, and thank you very much.
Okay, and again, mansioningles.com is where you can study English for free. We've got lots of courses and other things there. And because Monica kindly mentioned before about the job interview product we have, let's see if I can very quickly show you what that looks like. If I can share my screen for a second. I don't know if I can. No, it's just frozen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, that's strange. Something happened and something went wrong. So anyway, I won't bother. I'll say goodbye. We'll be back next week. No, we won't be back next week because next week is a fiesta, isn't it? It's a holiday.
Yeah, it's a holiday here in Spain.
We'll be back 2 weeks from today. That's the 15th, and that will be the 3 of us. So we'll have a Christmas special on the 15th of December. Monica, Lynn, and myself, and we'll be speaking about something connected to Christmas. So join us for that 2 weeks from today. And thanks for being here today. It's been fun. Have a good week.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You cannot, we're still live, huh?
I can't, my screen's completely frozen. So I'm going to have to shut down my computer, I think.
Yes, shut down. Okay, goodbye.
I can't do anything. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
What's happened?